Welcome to a special edition of Stay a While, recorded live on Radio Row at Super Bowl 59. I'm your host, Tommy Vincent, and we are going to be hearing some dynamic conversations with phenomenal guests here on Radio Row. So take a seat, get comfortable, and stay a while. This episode is sponsored by the House of Joy. Hey everyone, it's Tommy Vincent, your host of Stay a While podcast, and today I have joining me at the table Christina Francis. Christina is the president of Magic Johnson Enterprise. She is extremely accomplished. She has done many things, but most importantly, she is a woman that has been on a mission and she has accomplished great things. And there has been a journey, and in that journey, there's a story. So that's what we're going to be talking to Christina about. Christina, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So like I said, we know that you have accomplished many things, and all of that information is going to be in the show notes. So everybody want to learn more about you, they can read about that.
Okay.
We want to talk about the stuff people can't read about.
Okay.
This journey as someone who has worked her way with integrity and class to the position you're in. What was it for you that kept you determined to keep accelerating in your career?
You know, that's a tough one because I feel like it's innate. You know, it was ingrained in me from a child, from my parents, and knowing that I can do and not to accept anything less. So, you know, if you fail, it's like, just figure it out. Learn from the failure, figure it out, keep going. So it's a tough one because a lot of it to me comes from my family and it comes from my parents. And knowing what they did for me, knowing what they did for my brothers and sisters. And so knowing that there's something required of me to now take that to the next step. So if it's working with other people and building myself up to the level that I've gotten to then also mentor other people to help my nieces and nephews, but to create this legacy that keeps going.
Let me ask you this, because you for yourself, it's innate. You grew up in an environment where it was instilled in you that you could do anything. Everybody does not have that fortune.
Agreed.
As someone who has worked with other individuals and even in your position in the organization, you're responsible for training people up and getting them in alignment with the ability to bring success to the business. Is that something that can be taught, and how?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you don't give up on somebody. Now, there's people who resist it, or some people who just don't want to do it, and you will see it because you just can't get them there. But it absolutely can be taught. And it's once I see somebody and, you know, they're smart, and, you know, they want to learn, and they may fall. And if you're there to help catch them and you're there to just remind them that you're smart, you're talented, you're here, you got here.
Yes.
You got into this company, you got into that job. So step back. And it's interesting because I was just listening to a pastor a couple weeks ago, and he said, this is a year that when something happens, you pause, you pray, and then you proceed.
Okay.
And he said, because, you know, sometimes you get into situations and you immediately just like go, like you get mad, you like, let's text, pause and pray about it and then proceed.
The 3 Ps.
The 3 Ps. And so people who fail, I think sometimes you can either spiral or you can step back and go, why did that happen that way? How do I address it? And how do I move forward? Right? And don't hold on to it, because if you hold on to it, you freeze and you get stuck and you get paralyzed. And so, yes, you can absolutely teach it. You can absolutely train people to be better and get better and to grow.
When you're working with someone, I know you have your own experiences, so you actually have lived experience to draw from where you know that, no, there is a solution to this situation. When you're working with someone and they aren't solution oriented and they just sit right there in the problem, how do you get someone to like shift their mindset to look at solution? I need you, Okay, yes, that's accurate. But we need to get right here real fast. How do you get people to make that shift?
I mean, I think it's just it's a conversation, and it's showing them,
Hmm.
because to me, no is never an answer.
Hmm.
And so there's got to be the yes, there's got to be the way, there's got to be something we can figure out. And I'm that way. And so people that are around me, I think it's also that environment that you create, it's that energy that you create, it's that positive mindset. So that if they do come, it's like, okay, so what's our options?
Hmm.
Right? Like, don't just come with the problem. What's the options? Give me more, and let's think through it.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's, it's funny because a lot of times people ask those questions, and I don't really think like I'm like this big thinker. I just feel like just sit down and let's talk about it, right? Like it's not rocket science.
Hmm.
And even what we do, I mean, in the business of sports or marketing or communication, whatever, it's not rocket science.
Mhm.
This is fun.
Hmm.
So sit down, let's talk about it, and let's figure out what's the options.
Hmm.
So that's how I live every day.
I've been really working to be conscious of, there's some things that for me, it's just who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's innate.
So it's not a challenge.
Yeah.
And even when there's a challenge, I kind of get off on a challenge because I'm solution oriented.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to make,
We're like,
okay, so I had to but everybody
isn't like that.
isn't like that. And so what comes easy to me could be really challenging to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had to that's been a challenge. I'm going to tell you, for me, that's a challenge because it does feel like I don't understand what's the problem. But the piece where it's important to develop people requires you to say, no, I have to pull it back.
Yeah.
And I have to teach, because that's how you make people better. And then also it helps for me to achieve the results I desire, because I'm equipping them with the information necessary to be successful.
Yep.
Have
help
you
them
found that
help you.
Yeah. Listen, come on now, y'all. No, absolutely.
It's those moments when you're in the office, you have to close the door, and you're like, what don't they get? And you talk to yourself for a while, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to think about it and go, okay, let me meet them where they are.
Absolutely.
Know who that audience is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an article, it's called Emotional IQ. And it's understanding your emotional IQ and someone else's emotional IQs, because then you can figure out how to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have actually printed that article and given it to my team.
Yeah.
And I sometimes almost every year I pull it out and look at it again and maybe think about who I am and where I am. And then because each one of my team members, they're different.
Yes.
And one team member will come be like, and I'm like, calm down. They're different from you. And you have to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I experience that all the time. But I close the door and I'm like, what just happened?
Let me ask you, you are the president of Magic Johnson Enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you were young and really trying to figure out what you wanted to do in your life, what was your aspiration back then? What was the goal? What was the goal?
I was supposed to be a lawyer, and it was either that or international relations, because I love learning new cultures. I'm from New Orleans. And so when
I did not know that.
Yes, I'm in my hometown.
Okay.
And I love culture and people and food and living life to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I spent time in Latin America. I lived in Guatemala, Costa Rica. I traveled around because that's what I love. So I wanted to either do international relations in some form of a business and international, or be a lawyer. My dad's a lawyer.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened, but one day I woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to go and get an MBA. And my father was like, what? What happened to law school? And I said, no, I'm going to take the GMAT at the time. And he said, no, what about the LSAT? And I said, no. And he said, just take it. Nope. I'm not doing it. I'm going to get an MBA. I have no idea why I did that, because now I think, doggone it, I should have gotten a law degree too. So I had no idea, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I just love life, and I love challenges and working, and I knew there's things that I liked. And so every opportunity that came to me, I just took it on.
Mm-hmm.
And did I ever imagine I'd be president of Magic Johnson Enterprises? No. Not even when I met him. It's been over 20 years I've known him.
Okay.
And I was working for an ad agency. And I was this little girl that I have not changed to this day, but everything has to be right.
Mm.
So I had on my stuff, I put on my paperwork, we were like having this meeting, and I went outside to meet him and bring him in. It was this whole thing. And he was looking down at me like, who's this little one that's running around here?
Bipping around,
right?
bipping and bopping.
And for years, he tried to get me to work for him. And I was like, no, I want to go do this. And I'm going to do that. Like, I wanted different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, when he called about 11 years ago is when I went to work for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even then, I never thought about being his president. I was doing just stuff that I loved. And because of that, he looked at me and said, you know, you've been doing the job anyway. So you should be president.
Mm-hmm.
So never.
In that time period where he was essentially courting you for his organization, and you said you did other things before you got there, did those things that you did prepare you for the role you're in now?
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, and I don't have a rhyme or reason to it.
Okay.
You know, and I tell people, like, I failed at things and I succeeded at things, and I just kept learning and growing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to do. So I was a CMO of the Orange Bowl, and I ran game operations, and I oversaw ticket sales, and I did things that I'd never done before and learned them. And then I went to the NFLPA and I worked with athletes and events and doing things like that. So now I get to him and I'm doing all of it, right? We have 6 teams. I'm managing this big brand.
And different sports leagues.
Different leagues. Right. And we have different companies. Like, and he is that personality too. And he and I are a lot alike. Okay. On, like, don't come with me at a problem. Come with me with a solution. Or have it organized. Make sure it's like this. Don't have me coming in that's not ready. Yeah. Right. So we're a lot alike on how we look at things. So he takes on businesses. We have an infrastructure fund. We have a food services business. Like, we have teams. There's so many things. And it's like, we can do it all. We're smart enough. We understand how business works. We understand how finances, market. We understand how it works. So you can do anything. Yeah. And so he's given me that confidence. But I came with so much knowledge and so much experience and a network that he was like, you're the perfect person. So
you said something I think is so powerful when you talked about there was no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
And I have found, you know, my children are young adults. And so they're very much in this space of wanting to have like a plan and stuff figured out.
Yep.
And sometimes I believe a plan can stifle your growth and development. When you think about this not having a rhyme or reason, and then we have a generation that has such great pressure to deliver on, I got it all together. And also, nobody's going to be anywhere longer than 2 years, because at the 2-year mark is when you're supposed to go on to the next thing so you can keep climbing up the ladder and doing your thing. Yeah. What would you share with a young person about it's okay to not have a plan from A to Z in place as you're figuring life out?
Yeah. It's a tough one because, you know, there's people who, like, let's say they love animals. So that's kind of like, that's their thing. But if you just know in general, like, certain things you're good at, I just tell people to be open. Because you lay out that plan and an opportunity comes that you push it aside that you were supposed to have, that was meant for you. You know, I did things that now I look back and I go, gosh, that experience was amazing for me. Or I learned, or I went to a job that I learned from people, and it wasn't even the job, but it was the people or the environment that I learned from. So I tell people all the time, like, you know, you can have a kind of a little bit of like, I know what I'm good at, I know what I love, But don't just turn away an opportunity. Like really look at it and think like, what can I gain from this?
Mhm.
Like, who's the manager? Like they might be that right person to train me the right way. Because you can go in a direction that you think is right, and then it's the wrong environment, it's the wrong manager, it's the wrong team, and then you're stuck.
Mhm.
Or you can go somewhere that you're like, this is a little off from what I want, but this person really helped me get to my best self.
Mhm.
Right. And so I think about, like, I never really thought I would work for like Burger King. Right. But there were things that I learned in that franchising of businesses and an operational setup and things like that.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So you take on
Transferable
experiences.
skills.
And then the people that I met there were very close to the people that were at the Orange Bowl. So when they said, hey, they were looking for somebody, they said, here she is.
Okay.
Burger King and Orange Bowl had no real connection, but it was one of those things where they're like, she's a talent and she's the one that you want.
Mhm.
So you never know where that blessing comes from. You really don't. And so, I tell people all the time, don't feel bad if you you went this direction, but now you want to go this direction. Now, if you go too far off the path,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to pull back.
Yeah.
But gain from the knowledge and be open to the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not agree more. Before I let you go, I would like for you to think about young Christina figuring out life.
Yes.
And what advice would you give her?
Well, I'm still young, Christina, and I'm still figuring out life. And so I would probably say to her, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. I say that kind of jokingly, but I am still
On the journey.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so young at heart, and I'm still learning about life, and I'm still going. Because if I ever stop learning and growing, then that's probably the end for me. That's the end of my life. I'm done. Because I always want to keep that going.
Yeah.
So, there's so many things I could tell her, but I think that's the biggest one, is to just continue on the journey and making sure that you're constantly growing in it.
Mm-hmm.
And really challenging yourself to be better and be your best self.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's good. That's good. Well, listen, Christina, I am grateful
no,
that
thank
you took time to
and
join
I'm so
me.
proud of you
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
because
Thank
you are doing your thing.
I
And
appreciate
I'm super
that.
excited for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining me on Stay a While. And just know that there's always room for you at my table.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm coming back.
Yes,
this is fun.
absolutely. Thank you. I hope you felt the love and connection in today's conversation. Every woman you heard from has faced the impossible and emerged stronger. This is your personal invitation to stay a while longer at TommyV.com. That's TOMMIV.com for more inspiration for your mind, body, and soul. And let's not forget your belly. You're always welcome at my table. Please be sure to subscribe, make yourself at home, and stay a while.